Whether you're a veteran teacher or a rookie still trying to figure out where the staff bathroom is, the first month of the school year really sets the tone. But here's the thing. Relationships look different depending on if you're building them from that veteran teacher perspective or that brand new teacher perspective. And that's what we're talking about today on your Classroom Coffee Break. I'm John Van Dusen, a longtime teacher, coach, and Army officer, and today we're going to talk about building relationships in the first 30 days, veteran teacher and brand new teacher strategies. So first off, why does it matter? Students decide really early on if they like you, if they trust you, if they respect you, if they connect with you, and sometimes that can happen even just in the first few minutes that you meet them. And depending on the school you're in, that can be very different. For instance, at Kingsford Middle School, teaching 8th grade, we see those 7th graders all year walking through the hallway. They see us interacting with each other. They see us interacting with the other 8th graders. So by the time they hit 8th grade, for those veteran teachers, those 7th graders already have an idea of what they're getting into. They've already formed an opinion of those teachers that they see in the hallway. They just haven't seen us in the classroom. So as veteran teachers, we already have a little bit of credibility built up, and we need to make sure that we guard against our stereotypes and assumptions where people see me in the hallway and they think, oh, he's always just a goofball. Oh, he always just does this. So although it can be good that veteran teachers have some credibility and, dare I say, notoriety already built up, it's important that those students know you in the classroom versus knowing you from afar, being in a different grade level, or perhaps just seeing you in the hallway. Now, for the brand new teacher that those students have not seen in the hallway and have no idea who they are, you are starting with a fresh blank slate. So immediately you need to be able to establish trust, confidence, and persistence, but also move towards building those relationships. I would say one of the hardest parts about building that relationship for a new teacher is a lot of times you're not much older than the students. Going back to my first job, I got hired at 25, 26 years old in Lawrence, and I'm teaching in a classroom that's a little out of the middle school, even though I'm teaching middle school. And I have juniors and seniors walking by my room all the time. And there's a senior, 18, 19 years old. So I'm only, 6-7 years older than this kid. And he's wearing his hat in the building. I say, hey, you need to take your hat off. And as he walks away, not taking his hat off, he mumbles something to the effect of, I haven't been there long enough to tell him what to do. And thank goodness for a veteran teacher was there, walked out of her room at the exact time he was saying that and set him straight, got him to take his hat off, brought me over, had a conversation about just because I'm a new teacher, just because I'm young, right? There's a little bit of authority and respect that comes just with that position. So positional power, because I was not going to build a relationship with this student other than seeing him in the hallway once in a while. So for you younger teachers, it could be a little bit tougher, especially if you're in high school, because you are so young and you're not very far away from where those students that you're trying to lead where they are right now. So when it comes to actually building relationships with students, veteran teachers do have an advantage in that they are experienced in classroom management. They're experienced in rapport building. A lot of times you're better at reading the room and seeing when kids are dropping off, when their focus is going away. So some of those things might come second nature to you. So then you can really concentrate on the relationship. And I would caution you to avoid the tried and true method, something you did 20 years ago as a teacher. Maybe that doesn't quite work the same as it used to, or maybe you need to tweak it so that it works a little better. So even though you may be better at building those relationships, you really need to make sure that you're keeping yourself fresh and keeping that enthusiasm. Now, the exact opposite is true for brand new teachers. They come in with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of freshness, a lot of new great ideas. And a lot of times students will give the new teacher kind of a pass because they know they're new, as long as it's something that they're trying to engage them with and trying to build that relationship with. The students want to try new things. They want to see their new teachers try to interact and engage with them. And they're willing to put up with a little bit of failure in order to get to that point. So new teachers, you have an advantage in that. Your disadvantage is you're not used to running a classroom, you're not used to the routines, and you may struggle with some of those classroom management and behavior issues that the veteran teachers kind of handle without even thinking anymore. So there's both advantages and disadvantages to being a veteran teacher and to being brand new. A couple things that all teachers can do, regardless of how long they've been teaching, is try to learn students' names quickly. I am really, really terrible at that. I'm trying a new technique this year in our gradebook program. There's a way you can print out the pictures for the attendance in the actual seating chart. So I'm trying that. It seems to be helping, but still I am not very good. If I see you in your seat, I might be able to peg your name, but if I see you walking in the hallway, I don't have the context of where you're sitting, so it's really, really tough for me to learn names. Also, you've probably heard this since day one of teacher school, but try to have that first interaction with parents be a positive one. It can be a simple postcard home. It can be an email. If you're closer with the parents, or if you prefer to communicate via text, it can be a text. Hey, little Johnny was great in class today. Hey, little Susie really did well on this assignment. Something positive just to make that connection before you have to have maybe a difficult conversation about behavior or grades. And then lastly, something all teachers can do is be visible in the hallway, in the lunchroom, after school. If you're out there interacting with students kind of in their own environment, right? The classroom is yours, the hallway is theirs, kind of a thing, then you can really start to build those relationships. And it kind of builds exponentially if you are able to attend a sporting event or a band event, or if they have some kind of group or club that they're a part of and you can make an appearance. That really goes a long way with building relationships with students. So we're going to shift gears a little bit into building relationships with your colleagues. So for veteran teachers, you have the advantage of having a network and having an established reputation, whether that's good or bad. So you can really take advantage of that and try to expand that network. I know during COVID, we saw a lot of expansion of those networks on Twitter, now X, and Instagram and Facebook groups and chats and whatnot, Zoom calls. There was virtual professional development sessions where, people were able to interact with groups that maybe they normally wouldn't. So as a veteran teacher, I just want to caution you against isolating. You know how you're running your classroom, you know how to build relationships with students, but remember what it's like to be a younger teacher, and make sure you're grabbing those younger teachers in a mentorship type way and help bringing them along, because they are your colleagues now and you're all on one team. So for brand new teachers, you have the advantage of all the fresh ideas, all the things that come out of your student teaching and your being in the classroom in different areas, and all of the theory that you just got done learning in school. So please bring that energy and bring that enthusiasm to your new classroom and colleagues. And this is where it's really important to understand the climate of your school district, the culture of your school district, and also have some emotional intelligence so you can kind of read the room when you go into the teacher's lounge. Is that the place where everybody goes to complain, or is that the place everybody goes to enjoy their lunch and have fun? In our teacher lounge, a lot of times we're playing games. We have the standard complaints or the standard conversations that everybody does, but then one of our other teachers, our art teacher, Miss Westfall, she brings games in. We'll play Tapple, we'll play different card games. So the teacher's lounge at Kingsford Middle School for the 8th grade lunch is actually a really incredibly positive environment. So the same caution I give to the veteran teachers about isolating, if you're a brand new teacher, there is a ton of work to do, but make sure that you take that time to go interact with your colleagues so you can build those relationships, because a lot of times the best professional development is a teacher down the hall. So now the importance of building relationships with parents. Now for veteran teachers, depending on how long you've been teaching and how long in the same district, you're already going to have a reputation with the parents. You could have possibly taught one of their other children. If you've been around long enough, you might have taught them. Or I'm running into this right now where I'm teaching a lot of kids of people that I graduated high school with. So they already kind of know who you are. You already have a little bit of a relationship, but it's different. So it sometimes really needs to shift from that friendship to that professional relationship where now you're their child's teacher and you have to hold certain standards. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable. But if you have those relationships built properly and they're long term, generally they're going to work out just fine. And a lot of times that'll help you with the child too, because they know that you know their parents. So you can tell a little story about when, you and their parent were at a football game or on a basketball bus going somewhere. I have a yearbook in my classroom and I'm actually able to pull open and say, hey, look, here's your dad, here's your mom. So that's kind of a really neat thing for me in building those relationships with parents. Now, if you're a brand new teacher, again, you have a clean slate. We have a teacher right now that she actually graduated just a few years ago, and she is teaching kids in eighth grade who are siblings of people that she graduated with. So she knows those parents on a completely different level and more of that kind of like uncle or aunt relationship. And now she needs to elevate to that professional relationship with those parents. So I think the best way to do that is to establish credibility and professionalism early. Hey, I used to call you Uncle Tom. Now I need to call you Mr. Smith because we need to talk about the behavior of your child. And most of the time, again, those long-term relationships are not going to be damaged by the teacher trying to hold the child accountable. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Relationships can be a very complicated endeavor, but it's super important. So, as veteran and brand new teachers, make sure you're established in relationships with those students. You see them a lot throughout the day and throughout the year, and they do some pretty amazing things. So, be that person that notices, be that person that's involved, be that person that they can come to, that they can laugh with, that they can tell stories with. And then when it comes to your colleagues, do the same thing. Those are really your peers, and that is probably your best support network for helping to deal with difficult behavior or difficult situations in your classroom. And depending on how close you are with your family, I know the eighth grade team, we talk about our families all the time because we are our own best support network. And then also with parents, make sure that you are communicating early, clearly, and consistently with those parents. And we have a little saying going on this year at Kingsford Middle School where everyone is somebody's baby. So just because that one child in your classroom is one of 150 that you see throughout the day, that one child is the number one child to that parent that might be walking in nervous for a meeting, who might be really struggling to word an email properly, who may cringe when they see the school's number pop up on their phone. So just remember that we're all people, we're all humans. Communication is a messy business, but if we concentrate on the relationships, then we can make it a lot cleaner and a lot more fun. So if you got something out of this, I ask that you like, share, put in the comments, how do you build relationships with students, with colleagues, and with parents? I'd love to hear different strategies. I'm always trying to, in the Army, we would say, improve our fighting position. I'm always trying to make myself better. So please drop it in the comments, and we'll see you next time in your classroom coffee break.